This stuff. And
Yeah.
then, I'm gonna second.
I keep putting off the living this morning. I can't.
Rock, you should take the house.
Oh, no. Oh, burger with a beer. Yeah. You can get a beer and a side for $15.99.
Gonna ask that Madam Vice Chair give us the convocation.
Yes, okay. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We ask right now, you would just come into this meeting and have your way. We ask that you bless each and every one of us, God, as we make decisions for the students and the staff and administrators in Hope County. We ask, Lord, that everything that we do, we do in this and in order. Have your way in this place. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Have we tested to see if Keisha's listen? Yeah, she joined, but I mean, you guys can talk to her. You'd like. Keisha, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
We can't hear her.
It's kind of long.
Yes, clear. Hello?
Try again.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, the following action items that are on the list is the bilingual psychologist contract and also application check. So we're gonna first start with the bilingual second on for contract.
Madam Chair. I apologize for this, but I was wondering if we can add an item to the action item.
Go ahead.
Make a motion to add the capital project amendment in 2023-24 So it can be prepared for the next county commission meeting.
Why?
If we don't do it now, then the next time we listen to it, we will already have county commissioners meeting, because it's on Monday, ours is on Tuesday. So we will be behind. Where at minimum, as an information item, so we all can make a decision whether we can move forward or not.
What are we moving forward on?
So again,
What are we moving forward on?
what the school administrators talked to the county commission yesterday, I was very impressed. They were trying to reallocate funds. They weren't asking for more funds, they were just trying to reallocate it based on safety factors.
So what's your motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to add the capital project amendment 2023-24 to the action item.
A motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Madam Chair,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like to add another item to the agenda.
Okay.
The attorney law firm hired. Tonight,
Okay.
I make a motion that we, add to the action items, attorney law firm for Hope County Schools District.
Motion on the floor to hire an attorney for the Hope County School System. All in favor say aye. Okay, I get a second.
Second.
Question. What are we doing Thursday night then? I thought we were on all of Thursday night. Well, so we're meeting on the 24th for that reason.
We are.
So we wouldn't have to have that meeting, correct?
No, we wouldn't have to if we all in agreement tonight. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Madam Chair, I hear Keisha.
No. Let me ask, I have a question. Can I ask a question, Madam Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're saying that if we vote on the attorney tonight, we don't have to have the meeting on Thursday? So are they doing presentations tonight?
No, they're not going to take presentations tonight.
Okay, so if they're not doing presentations tonight, why are we not moving forward with keeping our meeting on Thursday?
Say it again, Keisha.
I was saying, if we have Thursday set aside to interview or listen to the presentations from the attorneys, are we not gonna do that way? Or I'm just trying to make sure I understand what's going on right now.
No, we're not gonna, if we approve tonight to go ahead and hire an attorney or interim attorney, because of the situations that are going on, we need somebody now, we need somebody to react to all the answers that have been, all the questions that have been asked by this board. And so if we agree on an attorney tonight, we would not be having that, it will be postponed on Thursday.
Okay,
I know, doesn't that sound
okay,
good?
I'm just trying to make sure I understand, because we're meeting to, we're saying we're gonna agree upon somebody, but who are the people we are voting on? That's supposed to be represented. Who are those people?
I can't hear you.
Right,
Somebody else talking with you.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, who are the two people or who are the attorneys that we're gonna be talking about tonight?
I think it's the Charleston group and it's another one. One dropped out.
Okay,
So we don't even know that.
You got an email, not stop, saying that one firm. Okay. Send it email.
Where'd you?
Vogel. At Charlotte.
School?
So it's Vogel, he said, in the Charleston group.
Oh, it's Pointer and Spurl that's still in the Charleston group, but it was Vogel that withdrew.
Okay.
right, okay.
Thank you, Chair. So, Keisha, you done?
Yes, I am.
Madam Chair, just a clarification. Just to understand, we're, Vice Chair moved the motion to approve to hire
Mhm.
a law firm tonight. Is that what I understand?
Yes.
Okay. Is there gonna be a discussion about this as far as pros and cons?
I mean, we can.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
So again, there's a motion on the floor. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed.
I oppose,
Okay,
I oppose, yes.
okay, so the ayes have it. So next on the agenda is bilingual psychologist contract.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, all board members, and everyone here. On behalf of the EC department, I am presenting Maria Kane as a bilingual school psychologist, part-time. She is contract. I do want to say that we have released our other school psychologist contract, and we have done direct hires, with that. So we are definitely celebrating our win. Maria Kane, again, is definitely needed for the district. She's bilingual. She will only be with us part-time. And she is her own owner, so it's just her. And she will be doing, part-time work for us, which is needed for our bilingual students and families. And all our other school psychologists, again, we have been able to secure direct hires. No contracts.
So is she gonna be working for all the schools like in the district? So when you say part-time, what's considered part-time?
She will probably do approximately up to maybe 15 cases per month. And anytime we need her to be a part of a meeting, to interpret a report, she will also be a part of those meetings as well.
And do anyone have any questions for Ms. McLeod?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
so is this psychologist gonna be jumping from school to school, or is there gonna be a centralized location for the psychologist?
So the way it's organized, our school psychologist, that just started with us, that we got from Moore County, which is Morgan Strickland, which is our direct hire. Morgan will be serving pre-K through third grade, doing all of those psychological evaluations. And Maria Kane is gonna come in, plus we just interviewed last week and, secured for the, next board meeting, another school psychologist that we were able to get. They will serve all of our secondary. So we have one psychologist that we do pre-K, third grade, Maria, and this gentleman, hopefully that will be joining, hope he said yes. They will take the secondary. And we still have approximately 100 and some kids that we need to get it back.
So do you have all your, personnel covered this time? Start now?
Yes, ma'am. No, we literally only need one person, and that's a physical therapist assistant. But I'm just excited. I don't even, I'm just really emotional, about where we are. Because it's great. It is extremely, extremely great. So every time I get a call and there's somebody that's saying, I want to come to Hope County, and trust me, it's not a contract. It is, I want to come to Hope County. We should be proud. We should be proud with the direction that this is going for our DC. I'm excited. I'm just so excited. And your teachers are excited. I was with them all day today. And they are excited.
All right, so now we need one more, so you have insert the assistant.
That's it. This therapy assistant and every single EC position, service that our students need, the whole county students. That's it.
All right,
So I'm just excited, and I'm going to leave with you before I leave, just some data that we took today at the end of our all-day EC professional development, that the teachers did a survey at the end. And I just thought it was just some good information to share with you all about how they see EC. So I'm gonna leave that with you all.
So Madam Chair, while you're doing that, I just want to ask the breakdown here. You got $100, $600, $700. Based on how I'm reading this is per actual meeting with the student. That will include the report of that meeting evaluation. Not to exceed over $155,000 per year.
That is correct. And if you just kind of want something to reflect on, our previous school psychologist contract, hers was at $755 per contract at $170,000 a year. And she was full-time. So we didn't get much production.
So last question, this is a part-time contract, part-time, X amount of hours. Is this contract going to be able to fulfill the need of students?
Absolutely, with the team, because what we're doing is building a school psychology team.
Okay.
Team, so no one person can do it. We have too many students in the district that need services. And the goal is, we have to have a goal, so our goal is to be 90% compliant by December 1. That's when our next count comes. So it takes work, you can't do it if you don't have the staff. So building a school psychology team. So that's what this is about. We will have 2 full-time direct hire school psychologists. And then Maria King will also come in as our part-time bilingual school psychologist. So I've talked to them extensively as to what their expectation is.
And how many, school psychologists are allocated to us from the state? Because that's been kind of relatively new in the last few years, to be able to have that allocated separately to a district.
Yeah, so, right now, we're looking at least 2 to 3 to be able to, be allocated through the state for school psychologists. And I think the great thing is the fact that, again, not contract, direct hires.
Who's gonna give us some data? Who's gonna give us some data?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I grew up.
You did, you did.
I remember next time.
Shit, I was just.
So, Ms. McCloud, you were saying that it was 100 and something kids that needed to be tested. You guys, you saying it was 100 and some kids that had to be evaluated?
Yes,
So when you first came, what was that number?
when I got here February 13th, we were at 19%. We are at 35.8%. But let me tell you, don't be alone. Be alone. But you gotta keep in mind, school psychology staffing didn't change.
Right.
We were still operating on one school psychologist that was working 2 days a week. It's hard to move data with one person working 2 days. And so, we knew we had to keep looking, keep searching, so that we could get our children, evaluated. So we do have a plan in place for when these school psychologists continue to come. We have to get our kids that have never been evaluated in 2022, so that they know that that's proper. So we have met and we have a whole spreadsheet with all of that information on there that they have to get our kids that have never been evaluated since that is proper.
Madam Chair, you need a motion?
Yes.
And what you have in front of you with the graph, that's the teacher feedback from this document. We had them to do a quick survey at the end of our professional development that we did today. And that was just, I was reading some of the comments before I left the office, and I said this would be just great information to just share to let you all know. This is from the EC teachers, EC teacher assistants, and PCAs of Polk County.
And I move to approve the bilingual psychologist part-time position. Contract.
Thank you, I couldn't hear you.
I move to approve the bilingual psychologist contract.
Motion on the floor to approve the bilingual contract. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Cloud.
Thank you all.
You're doing a good job. I'm glad you came back home. You're doing a great job turning things around. Appreciate that. Right. Next item is the convocation check.
Yes, Madam Chair, fellow board members. Just want to give, again, a little historical background. This started many years ago, and it's really a way to say thank you to all the employees of Polk County. That first week that, they're driving back and forth from home, just a little something helping with gas. And it's been $50 since the inception, and there was requests to try to bump it up just a little bit to $60 a person. And so what you are looking at would be an approximate increase of $13,000. We spent right at $63,000 last year writing the $50 checks for convocation.
Madam Chair.
Mhm.
Dr. Sharper, where's this money coming from?
Local funds.
So it won't create a domino effect on something else?
Good question.
But there's always that possibility, but I mean, for $13,000, it's going to disrupt the position better.
Madam Chair?
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't think you asked everyone any more questions. I didn't hear you asked if there are any more questions. I was going to jump the gun.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything. Okay, go ahead. Go with the motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve the convocation check.
A second.
Motion on the floor to approve the compensation check. It's second. It's been second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
And the employees of Hope County Schools, thank you.
Lena has a question.
But if it's okay, Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
it's just more so of a statement. The $60 that we're approving today will only go to employees. The board members normally get $50, and that's because it is a call meeting. So I just want you guys to know that.
Thank you for clearing it up, Ms. Richards. Next on the agenda is administration, information items. The first thing is the parent committee. I think that'll be moving.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Vice Chair, Superintendent, my fellow colleagues, Keisha, I hope you have access to this because I did not anticipate not being here. So this is the last revision of the resolution over here, based on what I've heard from everybody, providing some information on the last meeting we had. I modified some words, added and so on, and brought along was able to accommodate the this document, and so therefore it's right here in front of you, asked for review, subject to your questions, comments, or concerns. So we can modify this as need to, if need to.
You said you're gonna read it.
Oh.
Oh, that's what you said.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. So this document is a resolution to move forward with the ad hoc parent committee, Hope County Board of Education establishment, the Hope County Board of Education. The board hereby authorizes and establishes an ad hoc committee parent committee, known as committee, pursuant to General Statute 115C36 and 143 318.9. And board policy 2230. The committee is an ad hoc committee without, I emphasize, without final authority that this subordinate and advisory to the board. The board may alter or terminate the committee at any time. The purpose, as stated in board policy 1300, a system of excellent schools involves parents in decisions regarding their own children, the educational program, and the schools. The committee shall provide a formal means for the board and Polk County Schools leaders to gather input from parents and guardians of enrolled students. The board may ask the committee for input on issues, including but not limited to the policies under consideration. The committee shall not address individual student matters or individual grievances. I'll say that one more time. The committee shall not address individual student matters or individual grievances. The leadership, the board chair shall appoint the committee chair. The committee chair should be a board member. The committee chair shall organize the committee and preside at meetings. Membership, the committee members shall be parents, guardians with one or more students enrolled in Polk County Schools, at least one board member and a superintendent's designee. The board may create a process for receiving and approving nominations with the goal of broad representation, with each Polk County Schools represented by at least one and no more than 3 parents or guardians. Parent guardians members shall discuss their committee role with other parent guardians at Polk County Schools where they have children enrolled, including but not limited to officers, parent organizations such as PTA, PTOs, and booster clubs. The terms for parent guardian shall last 1 year and be renewable. The committee chair may remove parent guardian committee members for good cause such as poor attendance or violations of these rules, meetings. The committee shall meet as needed each school year. The committee chair shall schedule the required meetings and arrange to have agendas sent to members and appropriate Polk County school staff at least 10 business days in advance to allow for public notice. Polk County school staff shall assist by posting meeting notices and agendas on Polk County school websites. The committee chair shall preside according to Robert's Rules Order or other parliamentary procedures selected by a majority vote of present members shall be required for committee action. Open meetings and public records. The committee is a public body under the open meetings law and subject to the law's requirement regarding notice and minutes pursuant to board policy 2230, board policy 2320, and general statute 143.318.1. Documents and other records made or received in connection with a transaction of public business are public records that may be subject to disclosure pursuant to board policy 50, 70, and 7350 and the Public Records Act, General Statute 132. That's one. Committee members should agree to abide by these legal requirements. Subject to questions, comments, and concerns.
Any questions for Ruben?
I do.
Okay.
How would the board gather input from parents and guardians? What steps would you have that the board would gather input from parents and guardians?
Thank you for the question. So obviously, there's been some changes as to how often we have meetings. We're talking about 3 meetings per year for now. It'll be as needed, which I think it will be more appropriate. So therefore, let me give you an example, okay? Let's just say we were here before the high school project and we wanted to get input from parents before we made a decision. The chair, let's just say I'm the chair of the committee. The chair of the board would direct me to have a meeting, and I would coordinate to have the meeting accordingly, and then gather information from all the committee members, then push that information forward on the next meeting where I will be presenting the information that the board requested. So in other words, we're not gonna have a meeting just to have a meeting. It'll be at the pleasure, the discretion of the board when we seek information. I suspect that moving forward, we're gonna have a meeting just to establish the membership and then brief everybody. And then obviously if the board, if the committee members say reach out to me and they want to provide information on something, then I would forward that information or discuss that on the next regular work meeting with the board and say, hey, the parent committee would like to know if they could provide information on ABC topic. And then that time, we can discuss whether we have a meeting or not. So this is not going to be something that's going to be an automatic. Okay, the board, alongside with the parent committee chair, will have control of this committee.
In your PDL, you have on here that you're gonna have at least one, no more than 3 parents or guardian from each school. And my question to that is, suppose, I'm gonna use this scenario, because I put it over it, okay? Suppose I'm a parent and you already have those 3 parents at that school, but I want to get on the committee. How would you address that? How would you address that so happened? And then another question to go along with that is, suppose some schools don't have parents that want to join this committee. How would you show equal, how would you be fair? How would you put that together to show equity across the board?
Well, thank you for the question. Of course, this is all volunteer, and we can't force parents to be involved, okay? It's gonna be a strict volunteer force, for lack of words, and there might come a time, my kids went to Rockbridge Elementary. Let's just say that we can't get anybody from Rockbridge Elementary, then, you know, the bottom line is that each school can put one or up to 3 individuals. We're gonna run through that case. I suspect that it's highly possible, but I don't really see the solution to that because we're not gonna have the authority to say you will have one parent. So I don't really have an answer to that, but the mere fact that we cannot force. This committee, if it moves forward, this committee is for those parents that want to be involved. They want to have a voice because we know that when we were campaigning, one of the big, strongest messages that all parents gave us was that we don't have a voice. Some parents just don't want to be involved. And I think that that's okay, you know, but we might have that scenario. And I hope we don't, but I guess the short answer would be, I don't think we can force a parent from a specific school to, and plus, and it's only 1 year. The way this final draft, along the way we did it was to where it's only 1 year, because it used to be the second draft was 2 years. And then I said that this might be too long for anybody, you know? And so I think that it's better a year that however, people can volunteer to get renominated. So for instance, nobody in here, board member wants to be the chair. And I said, you know what, I'll keep doing it because everybody knows that's my passion. That's what I ran. And so if nobody wants to do it, I will volunteer to get voted in again by the chair. And so we might have that situation, but
Okay, I have another question.
Wait,
I mean, did I answer the question?
You did.
Okay.
I think now,
I didn't think so. I thought you were asking, like, say, for instance, if there was 3 parents already and the 4th one came, how would you put it?
Well, that was the second question. That was the, so here's the thing, okay, so it's got, I believe it's got to be case by case basis. So let's just say, for instance, we activate we have this is not gonna be, we're gonna have a meeting tomorrow. It's gonna be plenty of time to give parents plenty of opportunity to, you know, so we can get the information out, okay? And let's just say, for argument's sake, that we have, every school has, 3. Okay, let's just say, for instance, every school has 3, okay? Somebody wants to, well, I wanna be in there. Well, my answer is sure. In a year, these people are going to rotate. Okay, so if we have people waiting to get on the parent committee, then that's something that we can make a decision on and say, okay, I understand you want to volunteer, but we have somebody else that wants to be in, so we're gonna have to rotate. So I believe that this resolution has a lot of flexibility. And of course, you gotta understand, this has never been done before. We're going to set precedent here. When God willing, and we vote on this will set precedent here in Hope County. This is something that I think we needed. This is something that's gonna really put us above everything else. And so is this perfect? I don't think so, because it hasn't been tried. But the good thing about it is that once we run it, and we're gonna have to tweak it out, you know, we come back and we add, take, and we vote on it again, just like we do everything else.
Where would the meetings take place? Suppose some parents want to come. Like you're saying, some schools may not have parents, but maybe they do, and they wanna come, but they can't get to the meetings. How do we?
So my idea, obviously, we have advanced technology now, so people can this is gonna be, again, an official meeting. It's not gonna be, it's gonna be just like a meeting, like right now, we're gonna have, the technology to be able to go virtual, that we have to, my vision of this, once it gets implemented, is that I would like to rotate the meetings to different schools. That would be my, it wouldn't be like here. It might be here to get started, but then we'll pick the high school, then we'll pick Rockbridge, Donstead, so everybody can get a fair share. That is what I envision with this. And of course, I didn't want to bug everybody with every detail, but you know, but that's a good question. And yeah, I don't foresee wanting to have a meeting, the meeting in the same location all the time. So, you know, depending on where the need is the most, you know, if say for instance, we got 3 members from Rockfish and everybody from the other schools have transportation, and we have members in Rockfish that are members that they don't have transportation, then you know what? That's what we're gonna have to meet here, because that's what the closest is. So I think that's a flexible area that we can, you know, move around to be able to try to facilitate the majority.
This is my last question.
Please.
You gave a few examples of what is a good cause, like for attendance or violating the rules. What are the rules? Can you clarify the rules, or would that be in your next packet so we can see what the rules are?
Well, not to add to the Roberts rule, but it's basically just following the Roberts rules. An example that's here is basically that we're not going to discuss personnel issues. We're not going to discuss student issues, because that's what I perceive the most thing that they're gonna wanna talk about. And so let's just say that you are a parent and you are in the committee and you keep insisting on wanting to bring issues about teacher, you're gonna be warned one time. And then you're gonna be warned a second time, and you don't have a third time. Then you're gonna get, you know, booted out. Simple thing, simple as that.
You know, all this is gonna be done at your first meeting.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, you know, just to keep it simple, I don't suspect that we have to have that many rules. It's basically the same rules here in the work session, but you know, we are more relaxed in the work session than we are in the monthly meeting. I see the monthly meeting being more official. This is more relaxed, you know, so it'll be a more relaxed environment, because I want these parents to be able to provide the input that we need to make better decisions. As I said before, this parent committee is nothing more than a tool to make us better. You know?
I agree with that. I agree. I think it's so important that we have parents have a voice. Being a former teacher myself, I think it's crucial that they have a voice in the child's education. And it's important to include parents' voices on their child's education. But I think as we move forward, you know, we already have an open door policy for parents. And with so many things so many questions, we don't have the answers. Me, myself, I would like to revisit this, because I want the parents to have a voice. I just feel like it's something, I need something more concrete. You know, the parents, they deserve this. They deserve us. But we need to make sure that we got everything right. I mean, I love what your presentation is good, but it leaves me as a parent with some questions. If I was a parent that wanted to be part of this committee. And I know that the legislature is making some changes to the parents committee. I think we should revisit this maybe in the spring. We can come back, we can work on it. Even as a board, we can work on it and bounce off each other ideas so that we can get.
Well, let me thank you for the comment, Vice Chair. Like I said, moving forward, this is not something that's going to happen tomorrow. That's exactly what I was thinking about. Maybe in the spring, I was really thinking about the next summer when parents are off, kids are doing this and all this stuff. But I don't think we need to wait that far. I'm not asking for this item to move from information to action item today. That's why we wanted to have this conversation, so I can be able to clarify any questions or concerns, you know. To be able to say that we can't move forward on this because of this and that, and I can use the same excuse for everything else, but we can handle all of this, like this is the creation. I think about this as a baby. We're gonna have to mold this according to our will, how we want it. Now, as far as me wanting to get information from the parents, I got information from the parents for 9 months when I was campaigning. Now, as far as being able to get a list of all the don'ts, I think that that's something that we can add later on as we go along. But the process is very simple. We're not going to discuss personnel issues. We're not going to discuss students' issues. And that is the biggest thing, you know, because that is the thing that can really get us in trouble. You know, so everything else, you know, I think it's we can deal with that accordingly. But you know, I asked the board that I would like to have questions so I can answer them accordingly, because I believe strongly in this, that we need to move this forward, because we need to shine. We need to shine. And so I think that this will garner the support that we need from parents, because we're gonna send a strong message with this to let them know that we hear you and we took action. And I just don't see a reason, I can't think of a reason why we need to wait anymore. I have provided any and all information for this. So, of course, if you want to talk one-on-one, I'll be glad to talk with you about this, but I think this is a solid document. I did not really, I owe the credit to Rob Malone. I gave you the presentation the first time. It was all this contorted information put together. He was able to get the proposal and put it together for me in a proper form. This is reviewed by the current law firm, and this is something that is not going to get us in trouble by moving forward. It's going to make us that much stronger as the board.
I have two questions. One, so your committee is going to be from probably about 14 to 42 people, depending on how many parents are at the school, how many parents want to join.
It is possible, but let me make a correction, okay? It is not my committee. Well,
Okay.
it was my idea, however, when this gets voted on, this is going to be the board's committee, not Ruben Castro committee. I'm not the one that's going to get credit for that. The board, the school board is going to be the one that gets credit. So make sure that moving forward, this is not my committee. This is the board stuff.
So I see in membership, you said committee members shall be parents, guardians with one or more students enrolled in the high school or Hope County school. And you talked about in your presentation, you being the first chair, right?
Well, I make that suggestion.
Right. And if nobody else wanted to take it, you can say it tonight, but you don't have a child in the school system. So you sort of, you're breaking your own policy.
Well, first of all, this is not a policy.
Or,
Okay, let me answer your question. Second of all, if we have to get technical, I am exempted from this because I am a board member. Okay, so I don't know, do you have children in high school? Does anybody here have children in high school, any board members? Okay,
and grandchildren.
it's irrelevant.
Well, that's all, this would negate us as well. I'm not saying that, we would be, this would negate us as well.
Madam Chair, under that premise, nobody here is qualified to be a school board member since none of us have kids in our school systems.
Well, don't say this.
Can I respond to this one part? Is that okay? So the way it was drafted is committee members shall be parents, guardians with one or more students enrolled in the schools. That's a category. And then at least one board member and a superintendent's designee. It was not intended, and if we need to tweak it, we can, but it was not intended that the at least one board member carried through, at least one
Right.
student carried through to the board member or to the superintendent's designee. The superintendent would choose a designee to be on the committee to help with the committee, et cetera, but that person did not necessarily have to have a kid.
Okay,
So
but when
it
you
was
said,
not intended that way, but I can see the reading, and if we need to modify it, we can, but I mean, we can maybe put a period after schools and then say, there shall also be a board member. But we could, if we needed to, if it's good, if it's confusing.
right, and it wasn't just this, it was his presentation when I heard him say. it.
Okay.
So it wasn't just a document.
My colleagues, it's just like I said, this resolution is subject to modification. That's a great point, Rosa, it's a great point. However, like I said, then like Ron said, we can modify it accordingly, okay? But I don't want to play here, take that, okay? Because I can come back with everything else. So the purpose of this is to give the parents, they have kids in our school system, a voice that they want. We are here doing the will of the parents. That's what we're doing here today. And lastly, Madam Chair, if anybody has any questions, I'll say again, but feel free to email me with any questions. I'll be gladly willing to answer any questions if you have any more questions.
Attorney Long, what are you gonna, modify?
So if it's on for everybody, I think tonight,
Membership.
if the board were, if the board believed that it needed some clarification, we could put a period after schools in the second line of membership. So enrolled in HCS schools, period, and then I was thinking start a new sentence that would say something like, in addition, comma, the committee shall include at least one board member and a superintendent's designee. I don't think we need to further say that they don't have to be parents. I think if we put a period after the first sentence, I think we'll be okay. I mean, I think the first part. Thank you. I personally think.
So it's gonna be in addition, at least one board member?
In addition, I was thinking, in addition, comma, the committee shall include at least one board member and a superintendent.
Well, which means, Madam Chair, is that if more than one member wants to be in the committee, we can. If somebody moving forward, if you nominate me to be the chair of this committee, and say, you know what, I want somebody else to do it, I will ask, because this is volunteer. If somebody wants to step in, they can be the chair and say, you know what, I want to stay as a board member, as a committee member. We can share the wealth of this committee. It doesn't have to be one person. Like I said, this is not, at this point right now, I relinquish any ideas on this to the board. This is the board's parent committee. This is not Ruben Castle's committee. This is the board, Polk County's school board, parent committee.
It may be a cleaner way to revise it to avoid any confusion. Maybe it could say committee members, comma, with the exception of a board member, how about this? committee members, with the exception of board members and the superintendent's designee, shall be parents and guardians.
Shall we what?
So committee members, with the exception of board members and a superintendent's designee, shall be parents and guardians. That way, I mean, again, if there is confusion, but.
I mean, I believe that this is a concern. I just say, let's make it simple and say, board members are not required to be current parents of, Hogan School, students. You know, I did not anticipate. I asked for input, and I tried to modify this resolution as much as I could with the information I was given. So we can tweak it accordingly. I can, once Rob Malone helped me tweak it one more time, I would email it to everybody and see if this is what we're looking for, and then we can move forward with this. But I really think that this can send an extremely strong message to the parents that we really care and want them to have a voice when we need input.
Okay, any more questions or concerns? I myself, I agree with Ruben. I think this is a good idea. Let's give the parents opportunity to have a voice and for someone to hear them. And, I mean, we see it every day, almost get emails from parents about something that, how they've been treated, how their children been treated. So I think this is gonna be good. It's gonna help out. It's gonna help calm some things down, I believe. Them coming together as a group and being heard. So, I just think it's gonna be a great thing. So with, turning along, making those changes and moving, we just, see it, next month. Yeah. At this time, before,
I was just telling you, I'll send them some options.
okay. Attorney Malone was asking me about the action items, and I didn't anticipate having Dr. Hunt and I guess that Dr. Shotwell and Scott presenting tonight. It's up to the board if they want to go ahead to hear them, or we can put it on the agenda for next month. But
Is this the site package?
no.
Madam Chair, I would just ask a simple question to Dr. Shotwell and Dr. Hunt. Can you all give the presentation?
Yes, we have.
Okay, then you're prepared to give the information.
Is this concerning last night?
Yes.
I would say let them go ahead with this presentation because it's all about safety. And the kids are gonna be back next week. We all agree. So, I mean, I don't see that we need with it. Say, let's hear it.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we're gonna add it towards the end. So at this time, we're gonna have site package for Hope High School.
Madam Chair, this time I'd like to ask Ryan Parker to come forward. You remember from previous board meetings that this is the kind of the big one that gets it all started. This is the one that takes care of the site preparation and also begins to order materials that will be needed later in the construction so that we can go ahead and get them in production, so they'll be ready for us now. Turn it over to Mr. Parker.
Good evening, everyone. So, I know that might be hard to read. This isn't that much easier to read, but I'll pass it out to everybody. So this is, as we discussed last time, early site structural packages. All of these items have been bid. We scoped these items and set contractor waiting for us to get any notice. I miss anybody? I'm sorry. Got one left.
Mr. Parker, before you get started, where's DHA Renewable?
Yeah, they're sitting right there, man. Right over there.
Matt Caldwell.
Matt?
Matt. Nice to meet you.
So we can go through each item. I know that staff has had an opportunity to review this, but big picture, we are about $347,000 less than our previous estimates. These portions of the bid, good thing, right? Trending down. So this is for casting place concrete, hollow core planks, unit masonry, veneer, structural steel, blue laminated, timber construction, utility relocation, turnkey site work, fencing, and the athletic court relocation.
Is there any way you can spread it out so we can see where the red numbers are?
No idea.
The information.
Yeah, so these red numbers are just highlighting, it's just a easy math check, so when you're reviewing it, you can see what the numbers are based off of. And clarification, so the veneer masonry is just for comparison's sake. That final would be bid in GMP3, which is bidding the 17th of September. And the rest of it is informational. So the utility relocation phase 1, just clarifying that is included in the turnkey site work number. Going down, the fencing allowance is included in the turnkey site work number. And the tennis court is included in the turnkey site. And then the rest of those items below where it says like 1% of 19, it's just breaking down the fee percentage per the contract. I will understand it's hard to read.
And Ron, just to help the board have some perspective from the last presentation, if I'm doing this right, in the last presentation, you primarily were bringing in the turnkey site work, the fencing allowance, the tennis court upgrades, tennis courts. Those were the items that were in the $80-ish million package.
Correct.
That you previously brought, and now it's you kind of beyond that top, there's like an additional 15 million to get us to the 23 million. Is that right?
Yeah, because those packages are bid now, it's time to still haven't released GMP1.
Right.
Being presented together so that schedule can stay on track.
And the board may want to hear a little bit about your work with Chad and others as it relates to how this would be integrated on the site and those things, so that they can kind of get an understanding of when if they approve this, how this will play out over the next whatever number of months.
Yeah, of course. So, originally it was planned to mobilize over the summer, but based on a litany of different issues that didn't happen. So second, we get a notice to proceed. The plan is to cordon off the area with fencing and fabric screen. There's a temporary parking plan, which I'm not sure if you guys have approved or not yet. Consent. Okay. So there's a temporary parking plan that's basically over by the softball fields, behind kind of the gymnasium and some other areas over there. That parking count, takes care of the parking that's being lost as part of this work. And that will be put in at some point on a transitional break, right? So not knowing when that first one will be released, that has to be coordinated, but there's a plan in place to do that. So basically, the parking will stay where it's at, we'll put in temporary parking, and then over a weekend or a holiday, right, that transition will be made so that when the students return to school, the new parking will be temporary parking. And then at the completion of phase 2, which is basically your new building, right, that'll transition back to the new parking lot, which is in front of the new building. We will take over bus parking lot and those other areas that we roughly 22-ish.
I'm sorry. We're gonna be done in 22 months, or we're gonna be done with something in 22?
The first phase. We have to build a new school, right? And we have to take over the existing, can't demo the buildings that are being used until the new buildings. Same plan.
Once the board approves this, you can order these long lead time items. You can start the work that needs to occur to stay on a version of the schedule that would have the school open at the beginning of the school year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, site work would start.
I'm sorry, beginning of a school year.
Correct. Site work will start in earnest. We have to do site work and demolition of the existing ports first. And then, yes, to your point, your glulam beams, your steel, all of that will be ordered. And those are all turnkey numbers, so they'll start down the road. I have to go to contract with them in order to secure the bid pricing that we have now.
So what was the issue with the last, contract that was being negotiated that needed to be changed?
I don't think I need anything to be changed.
So I think that they're speaking to the,
No.
I think you're speaking to the bid that was received, that was.
No, wasn't a bid issue with the contract concerning the, eight thousand. Something from the last time we came spoke, it was the issue with the contract, it wasn't about the bid. It was something about the money.
So the issue that staff worked through with Metcon and J&K, all those issues have been resolved. The change here is that the original version, I think, had a fee of 4%, and now it's 3.5%, and that's the amount that staff was more comfortable recommending to the board. So I believe, Dr. Shuffle, I won't speak for you and staff, but I believe that this version is being recommended by staff at this time.
Yes, sir. We feel more comfortable with the 3.5% more in line with the size and scope of this project. And again, with J&K and Metcon, they've been great to work with from a staff perspective. And so we're looking forward to continuing this project.
So was that something that should have been brought back to us instead of staff, or because we voted on that?
It is, that's what's happening tonight. So
I didn't hear that. I didn't hear him say anything about it.
right, because it was negotiated by staff, and it appears on the version of this that's in the board materials, has the 3.5%, and the version that was handed out tonight has the 3.5%.
No, are we voting on this tonight? Because this.
No, ma'am.
Okay,
No.
okay. So somebody just said vote.
It is very clear that, we wanted this to be the work session. And we're going to bring this back to you in September because, once we get the approval for that, a lot of things are going to start moving and happening over at the high school. I know today, Dr. Benson was meeting with his staff, talking about the parking flow, drop off, all those things. So we can be in anticipation of this beginning.
So,
But I just want to say that, and I don't want people to feel rushed, but But this, I mean, this is a construction project.
Right.
That's a pretty important project for the system, and you are going to need to approve this sooner than later in order to maintain.
Well, why wasn't it on the? I mean, I know this is a working session, we have more action items, so.
Well, again, I'm not saying that you need to approve tonight. I am saying that there is a point where there's going to be some urgency because I mean, the schedule that you were presented months ago had this work already under contract. So that you can maintain a schedule, and ideally you'd like to have time on the back end to have delays and not burn through your delays now and have everything have to work perfect. So again, I'm not saying, I see where it appears on the agenda, and I'm not saying approve it tonight, but I am saying that having done many of these projects across the state, you are going to need to start to make this a priority and approve this stuff when it comes to you, because this is not something, if you're gonna build a school for the limited funds that you've got, you've got to stay on schedule, because that will eat up whatever contingency you may have.
So Dr. Shaw will have it on September.
Ma'am.
I said, you will have it on September's agenda.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. I mean, I just understand that this is really a point for y'all asking a lot of questions, because it really does need to get started. Yes, would I love to have it approved tonight? Sure, but I know better than to ask. So, I mean, it's a lot of money, and I want to make sure that all the questions can be answered. So now this has been presented. So we've got now, between now and the next school board meeting, any questions that come through, Dr. Hunt and I will be glad to address it with Peter Parker. I'm sorry, Brian Parker. I'm just messing with you. But Rod brings up a very good point, because what you don't want to have happen is for us to be rushing at the end of July to get ready for school to open in August. Because moving teachers, it's like moving a family member that's been in the house for 75 years. It's not going to be easy, and right now we're still on track to do that. It's getting a little bit into the shaded area right now, but we're getting there. So the sooner we can do this, the better off we're going to be. But again, this is not brought to you tonight for action.
I want to say for the board that, this is what I didn't want. I didn't want it to be that, we're holding up the contract or the project, and that is not the case. The project supposed to be starting in July. So we didn't even know that Brian Parker was gonna be here tonight when we planned the agenda. So it's like, we just need to make it clear that I'm not gonna rush into anything and sign contracts. I'm not gonna start this year off with that. I'm not gonna do it. So if there was a problem with the contract, it was not said, he did not say it. I just knew it because he and I, Attorney Malone, discussed it. So just put it out on the table, don't leave anything out, because at the end of the day, we're gonna be responsible. Because when we vote, 3, 4, 5, or however, we're gonna be responsible for the money, the whole 9 yards.
How long is that show? Is it for this about the grant? We got a grant.
Yeah, it's the commissioners, it's at the county office.
Is that the county's office?
You got that proof for.
Well, the grant, all of it is 50 million.
50 million. Right. And we got it.
Yeah, so I don't know specifically that there is a timeline that it has to be spent by with an end date attached to it. Now I can go back on the documents and look to see, just to clarify for that and share it with all the board members. Once I review the application, just to double check and make sure. But I do know we have to be showing progress towards the end date.
Sure. So, I mean, based on hearing, do we need to have a special call session just for this, so we are online, because, I mean, time is money, and we've already agreed to move this project forward, so, you know, if we have to have a meeting just for this, let's have a meeting so we can move this forward, because, I mean, time is money. The way I look at it is that the staff has been involved in this the whole time, and they're saying it's good, and we run into a glitch later on, I'm gonna come back to this.
I mean, all the things they're asking for are in line with previous projects that I've been associated with in previous districts.
Right, so the only thing that we're missing here, Madam Chair, is that project manager that would have yet to agreed on to approve. That's the only piece, I think, that we're missing as far as another person to say this is good to go. So,
Right, but, so, just to help you put it all in perspective, you know, that's a very good point, Ruben. The previous project manager that you hired, that the school system, I would say, worked with the architect and MedCon to come up with the 60% CD estimate number, is that right, Brian?
I don't remember when Mike left, but yeah, setup and everything was originally negotiated with Mike, including the fee, so.
But the 60% CD estimate numbers track, let's put it this way, they track to the $78 million budget number.
Correct.
And this would show that if you start soon, you would be slightly ahead of your budget, not slightly behind.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the misunderstanding was. My understanding that this was being put on for approval. So, when is the next board meeting?
And then second, 2 days.
2 weeks from now.
It's probably more. There's a weird point in the month where I think it's 3 weeks. I mean, again, the one thing that the school systems that I'm working with are doing is dividing this work in a CM package up like this to order these items that take a long time to get here. Because this can create a delay for you at the end of the project. And I'm not suggesting that you need to do anything tonight, but I do think that you need to do something before the next work. Because you're only hurting yourselves by holding them up if you're going to do the project. I mean, that's all that I'm saying, is that if you're going to do the project, you need to start the project, because you're not helping the project by dragging it out.
The next board meeting is,
The 12th.
I knew that.
The 12th.
With the 11th or the 12th. Do y'all think we need to maybe have a call meeting? It's not involved tonight.
Okay, I'm not trying to be all complicated, but we brought the first part to the board as an action item in July to get it approved.
Right.
The $8 million part, that's now part of it, right? So again, I'm just trying to help you not 22 months from now, when you're ready to occupy, look back on this time and wonder why you're not finished when you could be finished.
Madam Chair, I
I'm
have
not-
a question. Go ahead, Keisha.
Yes, let me say this. We've been talking about this and discussing this project for the school. Even though I heard Madam Chair say that, she don't want it to look like we're holding up the project. But in essence, the way we're going, it's looking like we're holding up the project. Like Ruben said, the only thing we mentioned is the project manager. Now, if we have a meeting, if we're not gonna do the meeting for the lawyers on Thursday night, why can't we come back? Because we've all set aside for that Thursday to meet. So if we want to have a special meeting, let's do it Thursday because we are holding up the project and we need to get moving on this. We'll say we here for the students, then we need to move this project because this high school is for the greater need of the students. And is yes, we got to be precautious, but we also got to think smart. And if it's something that you don't understand and you're not clear about, then on Thursday night, since we already got Thursday night open to meet, let's go ahead and put it on for Thursday night and have a meeting. Because the longer we keep talking about this, this be clear, or I need to be clear on this, Thursday night will be your opportunity to ask questions because we do need to get moving on this project or it's going to cost us more money.
Well, I don't agree, first of all, with you when you saying that we are in essence holding up this project. So if the board is in agreement to me, then that's fine too, but we are not holding up this project.
Well, I'm just speaking, Madam Chair, what I said. I'm speaking on my behalf. I can't speak for you. But what I'm saying is we are holding up the project if we keep prolonging it and prolonging it and prolonging it. It is looking like the school board is holding it up. That's just my view.
Looks are deceiving.
And that you are correct, ma'am.
Madam Chair, of course, I can't speak for none of my colleagues, but I'm ready to move on this. I don't understand. I don't have any questions. The staff has looked at this, and like I said, the only thing that we're missing here is a project manager, and we've been doing just fine. The project manager, I'd like to have the project manager eventually sooner than later, but I am convinced that we should move along, and I lost track of this. I thought we did have it on the action last July.
Can we move it to that,
The $8 million part was, for action and a previous.
Say that one more time.
The $8 million part was set up to, Ryan came and presented at the work session previously so that it could go on the July action agenda. So that was the plan. And then when the $8 million didn't end up on the July action agenda, he got the bids in for what would have been GMP 2, which would have come, which he told you at that time was coming in August. GMP 2 would be coming in August, so you would have approved GMP 1 for $8 million in July. Was the plan. The forecast, this 15-ish million is coming to you in August. And it's here in August. The only problem is that the $8 million is now rolled into the 15 million because it wasn't approved in the August. So I mean, I'm not saying anybody's holding up and delaying it. I'm not trying to suggest that, but at some point you need to approve this work and start the project or don't build the hospital. I mean, you need to make a decision.
Is it possible to move this information item or action item and then just approve it?
Yeah, I mean, just like you added items to the agenda tonight, you can amend the agenda to move this to an action item and vote on it tonight. You could do that.
I mean, my only concern, Madam Chair, is that if we have questions, what are the questions from anybody? A sense, a level of concern. A lot of track of this. I thought we were done with this. So I don't have any. I can't speak for another. I don't have any questions on this.
No, I thought it was done.
It's not redundant. I don't agree with that either. My thing is, if we had a contract in place, we voted on it, it passed. Then it come up, we have a problem with it, and it was changed, but it won't brought back for us. So if y'all are good with it, the board of you are good with it, then let's vote. So be it. But my thing is, if we're gonna be straight, we need to be straight. We need to be honest. because we're dealing with a lot of money. So if things come up with the contract, then it need to be brought back to us, not staff. It need to be brought back to us so it can be explained why Metcon or whomever wants to change it from 4% to 3% or 3.5%, whatever. Just tell us. Just come back and bring it back to the table.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
When I say redundant, I'm talking about to me, it seems like we had did this already. I'm not saying it may not have looked like it is. So, I make a motion that we move this item to action item and go ahead and vote on it tonight.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, please
Say
let me know.
aye.
I do not agree. I oppose it.
Keisha?
Can I speak to the fee thing for a second, Madam Chair?
So,
Well,
you don't want to hear anything here.
you've only moved it to action. You didn't approve it, so.
Okay, all in favor of approving the contract that's before you? You need a motion. I'm giving the action. All in favor of approving this action, this contract, I need a motion.
I move that we approve the early signing instruction package.
Okay.
Say it again, I can't hear. Repeat it, Rosa.
I move that we approve the Hope High School replacement early signing instructional package.
Second.
Motion on the floor has been second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I oppose. All right, the next thing on the agenda.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question for clarity, if you don't mind? You can just call me right afterwards. Thank you, everyone.
The next on the agenda is the overview of the sign-on bonus for 23-24.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and to the board members. So at the end of the last school year, the proposal was put together after our assistant superintendent had the opportunity to talk to the other school systems to see how they would include their teachers. And it seems that we were not able to compete with them with the incentive that we already had in place. So a new proposal was put into place. And so what we have put into place is that we have moved our sign-on bonus from $500 to $5,000. And what that does is it allows us to use that as a recruiting piece to bring in qualified teachers. When I say qualified teacher, I'm talking about we are bringing in teachers who already have gone through an education program, as well as some of them that are coming in already with a continued professional license. So therefore, they're not having to take classes because they've completed all that at the time that we're bringing them in. And so that $5,000 bonus was put into place for that. Again, as a recruiting piece to go with the other things we have in place as well. We also saw the need to put in a $2,500 sign-on bonus, and that is for our high need schools. We're talking about our schools who didn't meet their school performance grades or they were low performing. So teachers that we have that we're recruiting for those schools, they will get the additional $2,500 if they're certified or highly qualified. And so the highly qualified bonus, that will be upfront. They will get that after being in the school system or working for us for 30 days. But with the $5,000 recruiting bonus, then that will be given over a period of time. The reason that was discussed that way is because a lot of times when we bring them in and we give the entire amount 30 days after they have been employed with us, and then they leave, it is hard for us to recruit that money. And that has happened several times. So we decided that if we could spread it out over a period of time, then that way we would not have to have such a difficult time recruiting the money if they decide to leave us. They do have to sign an agreement, and that agreement was shared with you, and it outlines everything that we are asking of them whenever they come into the school system and when they agree to take the bonus as well. Just a reminder too, that the recruitment bonus and the incentive that we have in place, that's an addition to, we already have tuition reimbursement in place. So what happens is for our teachers that are coming in that have not completed a teacher ed program, and they have to go through a alternative pathway, such as a residency license, a residency program, or a residency program, or a program in which they have the additional for support services, and they have to take classes for that. We offer them, we pay $750 per course to help them with that piece as well, to ensure that they're able to finish that program and to be able to complete that education piece and to be licensed, to be a fully licensed teacher. As well as whenever they apply for the license, they come in and they're applying for the license, we reimburse them for that licensure fee as well as whenever they take and pass their required state tests with that piece, we also reimburse them for that as well. We also offer the $500 relocation bonus. So those are just some things, again, after we were, I think Sultana was at a job fair, a career fair, and he had the opportunity to actually go around a lot of our surrounding counties and listening to what they were offering as far as their retention bonus. We just felt the need to kind of put some more things in place so that we can at least recruit as well. There are several things in the packet that you have that we are putting on hold because we want to put a full focus on the recruiting and highly qualified fully licensed for the high need schools, and then the recruiting fully licensed teacher in our Hope County. I think when this was proposed, when it was put together, it showed that if we can pull in our fully licensed teacher, then that is going to help us as far as having to bring teachers in and then assist them with getting their fully licensed once we get them. So if we can go ahead and bring them in and they're have an initial professional license or a continual license, then we're gonna come out on top with that.
What are you putting on hold?
On hold is it's called the Learn and Grow Partnership Bonus. And that's because that piece is where we're gonna use our college and universities, which we have a collaborative partnership with them as well. We work well with UNCP, we work well with Ever State, UNCW, ECU. Actually, we have some Liberty University, different universities that we work well with. And what we have seen other districts do is that if they have a student teacher, we go ahead and recruit that student teacher and give them a bonus in advance if they agree to come and teach in our district. So we're going to put that on hold, and then as well as our Hope Teacher Store, put that on hold as well. What it was is that we were looking at bringing in, actually setting up a store and allowing our teachers to come and to purchase things that they needed. But not money, but we have to actually work that out. So we put those two on hold, the more focus on recruiting teachers and getting fully licensed teachers in our district, which is going to benefit our students, and that's our top priority. Any questions?
No, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. At this time, I need a motion to go in closed session. Okay, again, thank you, Ms. McNeil. At this time, we're gonna ask for,
The capital outlay.
Yes.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. What you have in front of you is a proposed amendment to the capital outlay project for the 23-24 school year. I'll start off by explaining page 1, which is essentially everything that was in the original capital outlay project, and then the county commission back in the spring and we approved it. Everything in white is everything, like I said, original to the first proposal, and all of that the money has been allocated for it. That's not changed. However, what's in green is what is proposed to be changed. And the reason for that is that when we had the opportunity to go back and reassess some of the safety issues that are off the district, as well as maintenance issues, as far as the preventative maintenance, as well as reactive maintenance. We noticed that there were some issues that really needed to be addressed, and that's where we came up with the funding for those sources. So what was approved back in the spring was roughly $2 million. With that being said, the total amounts of what's in green on page 1 was $100,000 that was allocated for upgrades at Turlington, $160,000 for commercial renovation or facelift at Turlington, so that's a total of $260,000. Another $100,000 for East Oak Middle School, and another $100,000 for West Oak Middle School as it relates to the operating floors. So that's a total of $460,000. Now keep in mind that the total of that is not going to be reallocated on part of things. And so when we flip over to page 2, in the white there are, it says amendment proposed, but those are projects that are currently or that are scheduled to take place at Turlington Alternative School, which is following that facelift and beautification process. And that comes up to a total of $190,000. And that's everything from the current parking lot restoration, replace the cement on the back of the building that was chipping and was a safety hazard, replacing the canopy at Turlington, refacing the front entrance of Turlington, as well as adding in sidewalks, concrete sidewalks at Turlington, as well as adding benches around the trees that are outside of Turlington, concrete benches in the parking lot to prevent. Currently, we had a situation, or historically, we had a situation in the past where someone backed into the brick planter that's surrounding up the large trees in the parking lot. And so we included that in our pricing to have that fixed and renovated as well. Both the asphalt restoration and includes fixing the parking lot as far as potholes are concerned. There was a drainage issue that the parking lot had in the past, and we had to see to correct that issue for us. And also to protect the awning that has been recently installed, we're going to put parking holes on the parking curbs and parking space and concrete blocks in front of those aluminum awnings to try to prevent them from being damaged and getting it every time, keep people from driving in or back in. So roughly everything there comes up to $190,000, which leaves approximately $269,000 to be reallocated towards safety and maintenance issues throughout the district. And then when you go over to page 3, these are the identified maintenance and safety issues that spread out throughout the district. And so going with that is Hawkeye Elementary School. Last year in the spring, I can't remember if that was somewhere around Easter, there was a rough storm that came through and it actually moved the front part of the canopy away from Hawkeye Elementary School. So we're actually missing part of the canopy there. So that's $11,000 to replace the canopy. And when we say replace it, that's not adding the canopy, just attaching it to the building, but that's tearing down the entire canopy and replacing it. Then there's a hut which has weak floors in it, so that's $15,000 to go in and replace those floors. It's no,
Let me ask you something, the canopy and the wind, does we have insurance to cover that?
there is a certain deduction amount that I've been informed of as far as the insurance is, and I don't really recall what that deductible amount is. I would ask for Raina or Scott if it's missing those.
It's usually $5,000 deductible. And so, what you also have to take into consideration is that depending on the number of claims that you put in, it's going to be the level of how much your insurance costs. So like if a school roof gets blown off because of a storm, then, what normally would cost maybe $500,000 to $750,000 would only be $5,000. So you kind of have to decide which one you want to do. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But your point's well taken.
Continuing at Hawkeye, the chimney, because it's an older school, does have a very tall chimney on it. And that chimney had a hairline fracture. And we, over the last couple of weeks, have experienced some severe storms. And with that, we have very high winds. And so we didn't want to take a chance of that crack developing worse than what it already is and having the potential of that chimney falling onto the school. So that's $16,500 to tear that chimney down.
Madam Chair, so is this an actual chimney that is functional?
Yes. Yes.
What is the use?
Just a whole chimney.
Boiler.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then also throughout the years, we've encountered, I would say unwanted visitors or people walking across campus. So one of the things there to add as a deterrent would be to install a fence to try to prevent those visitors from walking through campus during school hours. And that's roughly $12,000. Moving down to West Hope Middle School, there is a generator, a very large generator. It's located on the back side of the building. There is no protective enclosed ring around that generator. So in order to prevent any type of damage to anyone or, a harmful act, somebody go up and touch the generator or the generator's on, somebody tries to gain access to it, installing a fence around that generator. So that's around $10,000. Then over at Don Steed Elementary School, the parking lot does have multiple potholes in there. So we looked at doing a driveway pothole repair there. That's roughly $4,000. Then over at the maintenance shop, there's a canopy that is attached to the maintenance office. It's kind of like an awning, so to speak. It's wood, but it has vinyl siding wrapped around it. And it is held up by metal poles. And if you drive up there close enough, you can see that awning is starting to sag. It's actually rotten. And if that was to fall, it would swing into the maintenance office. And that's also where we house our custodial supplies. So it would cause damage to that and probably tear down some walls. But in order to replace that is approximately $20,000. Then also with maintenance due to our current vehicle status. And what I mean by that is that there are vehicles that are currently in the shop with high mileage or with undiagnosed electrical issues going on with it. And there's one truck that has a radiator, transmission system, and it doesn't have any AC in it. And so we priced out some maintenance vehicles, a single cabin truck, which has a work box on it. Kind of like what you see on electrical trucks or plumbing trucks. And those are the dealership who's going to sell those at $60,000 a piece. So that's a total of $120,000. Then over at central office, we have a couple of doors there that do not meet current fire code that really need to be replaced. Generally, whenever the fire marshal does his walkthrough inspection, that is identified on the reports that we receive back. And staying in alignment with the safety that we're trying to put out across the school district, which is the AI as well as the access control on card readers, which we control, we do it into by entrance to certain doors. We've placed those out, and, so those range anywhere from $10,000 over to $23,000 right there on that page. And then whenever we take all of those expenses and add them together and go through into the deduction of the $269,000 that we were requesting to reallocate, that balance of that was the budget basically. And then the last page, page 4, that's just an overview of the descriptions of the trucks that we currently have on the fleet and maintenance, as well as identifying some issues that are taking place with those vehicles.
So let me ask you this. Let's say 2 things. When did we go to get to our budget? To the planning commission?
They presented it probably in April, and then they approved it in May, June.
So why didn't we just do this then?
Good. The reason is because those projects were estimates, we didn't know. So what's happened is that we've gotten hard numbers on the projects, which freed up the 269,000 for us to do the next level of projects on here. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Everywhere I've ever worked, it's just been budget amendments with Board of Education. That's it. And then you go make quarterly updates with the commissioners to let them know where you are with the capital project. But that was not how things were told that it's done around here. And so that might be the misconception or misunderstanding that took place. But I mean, all of these things were also talked about in the original putting the budget together back in the spring.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, I think it was just miscommunication. I'm just saying, you know, we had a budgeting book and everything and gave us, and it was like, well, listen, we got some things that we're looking at, but we don't have any hard numbers, right? So we might be coming back, whatever. That's one thing. Another thing is, I would like to put something on this list, and I don't know, it probably doesn't have to go on this list, but at the old audiovisual place where I think it was the old black school or whatever, right, it was sticking to that place it started looking better, but it looks horrible. It's part of the whole county school system. That's where Alan Douglas and them were. But I would like for that to be cleaned up because that's a black neighborhood. And I don't think it would be in anybody else's neighborhood looking like that. And it belongs to us. So it's making us look bad, and then it's in an African American neighborhood. As you know.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll be sure to get with Mr. Nance, and we'll do a walkthrough there, see what we can do in order to help beautify that area, get it looking better than the condition that is currently.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Hunt. I have a question. With the JW Charlton, you said the parking lot, are y'all paving that whole parking lot, or y'all just patching it up?
They are doing pothole repairs over there, but also to go along with that, they will top spray that and repaint all the parking lines, as well as repaint the basketball area. So you're gonna have all, you know, the lines, all the lines that are associated with basketball.
Okay. And this paving company that y'all using, are y'all getting bids and stuff? Or are they just the one that did the lowest bid?
She asked if we could receive multiple bids for the parking lot restoration in Torrington.
I received 2, but if to redo the asphalt stuff, you're looking at probably around $100,000. Because what they have to do is we did Hawkeye the same way, had the asphalt company come in, and for them to tear all that, then bring a truck in to, I guess, eat the asphalt that's there, and then regrade it, and then put new asphalt back down. You were looking at, I think I got the bill on it like $190,000, just that little front entrance right there in that little parking lot. And so this company that we've been dealing with, they've been doing, they're in Hunt County, they've been doing, they did Sandy Grove Middle. What's some?
Did they do rockfish? Did they do rockfish?
Yeah, they did Rockfish. And, I think they did 2 other schools.
Okay.
They were here at the alligator cracks and, Hawkeye last year.
Is it possible that we can see these, flooring that need to be replaced? Yeah, okay. I would like to just take a look at it.
Yes, ma'am, just let me know your availability and I can meet you out there and, we can look at that hood. that
Is
might-
it just one foot?
Yes, ma'am. It's so if you're familiar with Hawkeye Elementary School, you have the main entrance, and there's an open area, and there's the gym. And I think that's the pre-K all on the right. And then when you go outside, there's the white club that's located between that building and the media center. And in that white club, they also use that as a classroom. It was an office in the past 2 years. It was a classroom and an office. But there is a classroom that's housed there. But just don't know your availability, we have to meet you up. Are there any other questions?
And Madam Chair, may I ask you?
Yes, sir.
And if you think about the doors at the central office, yes, we have received money, we have used other funds to fix doors throughout the school, but in the plan it was for the schools. So the central office, we're still open, and anybody can just walk in the zone, so we need to be safe also.
And just for your knowledge and information there, in one of the schools, we are trying to include upgrading exterior doors that are not replaced, to be included in various grants that we are applying for. So those have not been overlooked. We are trying to pull different pockets of money from different places to help with security upgrades and building.
So on the last page, where it's talking about the year that they can borrow, Levine is driving a 1994 Chevy truck with 240,000. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a good truck right there.
Now, I can tell you that truck probably doesn't see as much action as the other vehicles do. Simply because, Mr. Bodine is usually driving the tractor and he cuts off the fields with the tractor. So most of the time, that's what he.
Yeah, remember all the custodians use that truck too. We'll take it to schools and they'll use it for furniture moving. Anytime a custodian uses that truck, they'll drive for it that week or whatever. So it's been well used. We call it pump.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Dr. Hunt, let me ask you one more question. I'm not sure if it's where this is in your area. Can you give us an update on this camera system that's being installed at the high school? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, ma'am. So we did purchase the cameras that were voted on and approved at one of the board meetings and work stations. We're currently in conversation with 2 companies to do the installation for those. In the quotes that we received from those 2 companies, they did not outline, certain scopes of the work, so to speak. But I know tomorrow we do have a conference call with one of those companies to try to get some verifying information. So we're still working on that information so that we can get some concrete numbers and concrete information to bring back to the board members to present to you at an upcoming work session.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Y'all have any more questions for Dr. Hunt? Thank you, Dr. Hunt.
Thank you.
She can. Yes, okay. I need a motion to go into closed session. For chair. Yeah, I was gonna talk.
Okay. So. Yeah, but I think that, but I would amend it to. Get my phone, either that, or at least they would know to check to see if it's otherwise.
Oh, I got it now. Okay, before we go into closed session, but we were discussing that we was gonna add the attorney's information after the personnel information, after closed session, after personnel. Right,
And right before adjournment.
right before adjournment.
Correct.
So I need a motion to amend the agenda. Right? I'm just looking.
So this is the discussion we had, is because it was added as an action item, and the action items are kind of above the line, that it would be cleanest for the public and obviously maybe following to get a motion to amend the agenda again, to move the selection of a new law firm to after the closed session. Or to do it now, but to do it after the closed session, and just to have a motion so that people who are watching at home won't think that you decided not to deal with that issue if you then later decide to address it coming out of the closed session. You could ultimately table it coming out of the closed session, but at least it won't look like you added it to the agenda, didn't address it, and then you come out of closed session and people may not be paying attention to you acting. That's all what I'm just trying to keep it clear to the people who may be following at home.
So, I'm clear, Madam Chair, we're gonna add law firm to after we come out of closed session.
You're gonna move it because it appears on the agenda now under the action items up top,
Okay.
but it did not get addressed there. So either deal with it now or move it after the closed session so that people who are following the agenda would know that the board is still planning to act on that item. You're just gonna act on it after you come out of closed session.
So my question would be, what would be the correct motion?
I would make a motion to amend the agenda to move the selection of a new law firm from its current location on the agenda to immediately following closed session.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
What he said.
Let me catch my breath. I need air for this
No,
one. Madam Chair, I move to move the law firm from its current location to add to after the closed session.
Motion on the floor, can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. So I need a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Chair,
Madam Chair.
I have a question. I'm sorry. You guys moved the capital project amendment to action, but you didn't take action on it. Are you gonna take action on that? What Dr. Hunt just, presented? Because that was that.
I actually, label it for next, meeting for September.
But y'all voted to move it to an action item for this meeting.
No, it's under information.
It wasn't.
Say action.
Who made the motion?
Information.
Madam Chair,
Mhm. Mhm.
So just because it appeared on the action part of the agenda, the board doesn't actually have to act.
Okay.
I viewed that as it was placed there in case there was some action. But I think
Madam Chair, just so I'm clear, we are gonna make a motion on the capital project amendment. I will make that motion.
it was on as an action item and a motion could have been made, but staff did not ask for one and one was not just naturally generated, so I think the chair moved them to the next item. But it was certainly an action item. And if staff is looking for some direction from the board, the motion would be appropriate.
If it was on that action item.
You know, I'm trying to follow the protocols
Yeah.
that this Board of Education has established for staff and my staff to be able to do, to make things come to the work session, things come to the regular session, you know, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
But if it was on the action item.
So maybe let me just help a little bit. So a board member added it as an action item. Staff did not have it on the agenda at all tonight. Right. So it was not on the, staff had not brought it forward as an item at all. A board member added it as an action item to the agenda. So because of the work session, board meeting protocol that I described to Dr. Shotwell when he arrived, that the idea is to bring it to the work session first, and then they go to the board meetings. Dr. Shotwell is working hard not to bring an action item to a work session meeting. So that's why he and Chad did not ask the board to act on this item tonight. Period.
Madam Chair, my only concern will be is two things. One is we're dealing with safety factors here. And it was very clear to me that something can cave in and there's a safety issue. Is that something that we want to wait on? And perhaps my second concern will be is that we kind of went up the script per se, so there has been some confusion. So I would ask, was the staff clear whether they were to know what to request or not? Because I'm not going to talk for staff, but I myself think that we should be able to move this to get it up to the county commission as soon as possible so we can get this done right. This is being recorded. We have identified all the safety issues. And I would hate for us to get tagged because all these issues, something got injured. Kids are gonna go back to school very soon. One of the huts is gonna be used.
Will they use it like damage like that?
They've been using,
Maybe in the school.
they were using it last year whenever we identified the issue. We did make some temporary repairs to it, last year. And so that was one of the conversations, was to try to get that replaced as soon as possible. And I think that they said with it being a full-man crew, it could take up to possibly 3 days. We did have a conversation with the principal of the school that said that if we started when students came back in, those students would need to be replaced for 3 days so that the company could do the work.
Well, whatever board member put it on the agenda should be the one that asks the chair if they could make the motion. It shouldn't be the staff. Y'all can do what you do.
Can we make a motion?
Madam Chair,
Okay.
I move to approve the capital project amendment 2023-2024.
Motion on the floor, can I get a second?
I second.
Motion on the floor, it's been second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Ruben, can you go ahead with the next motion? On the closed session.
Madam Chair, I move to go into closed session for the following reasons: to consider confidential personal information protected under North Carolina General Statutes 143 318 period 11A1 and A and 3, to consider the initial matters related to initial employment of individual employees pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143 318 11A6, and to consult with the Board of Education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statute 143 318 18A3.
Second.
Motion on the floor to go into closed session, it's been second, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? And now in closed session, we're going to break for about 5 minutes.
Does that keep you?
Can we just have Keisha in and that's it?
Yeah. Well, it's Keisha and this.
Okay,
Well, this has to be on that.
I got you.
But nobody else.
That's fine. I won't know. Well. Nine.